Unfortunately, this is The Dark Tower, based on the Stephen King novel, and not Dark Tower, based on one of my all-time favorite board games. I've read plenty of Stephen King books over the years, but the Dark Tower series just never seemed all that appealing to me, so I skipped them. When the first trailer dropped for The Dark Tower, a lot of people were excited, so it seemed like the movie might be good. It's got Idris Elba, who you could stick in Birdemic and he'd still be good, as well as Matthew McConaughey and Jackie Earle Haley. I knew next to nothing about the books, so I wouldn't have any expectations or know how close they stayed to the source material or how far they strayed. All I can say is, the books have gotta be better than this was. The movie's about this super evil sorcerer known as the Man in Black. He's on another planet that's harnessing children and, how can I say this? Essentially putting kids into this sonic catapult and hurling them at the Dark Tower. Oh, King loves to kill kids in his books. The Man in Black, not played by Will Smith, is abducting kids from other planets that have the shine. If one of them is strong enough, it'll destroy the Dark Tower, which protects the universe from the monsters that are outside the universe. Jake Chambers is a kid who has the shine and sees visions of all this. He needs to find the mysterious guy named the Gunslinger and stop the Man in Black. I thought the movie was going to be about the Gunslinger, but really it was about Jake. That's fine, like I said, I knew nothing of the books. However, we get a glimpse of the Gunslinger early on, but a good portion of the film is Jake in New York. They do eventually meet up, but it all feels generic. I was guessing what would happen next, and was right almost every time. Normally I just sit back and get immersed in a film, but there really wasn't anything to get immersed in. It was just a lot of things I had seen before, including not one, but two fish out of water scenarios. Matthew McConaughey's a really good actor, but here it felt like he was on Ambien. He just kind of walked around and mumbled scarily. Has he ever played a villain before? He was awful. Dare I say he was better in Texas Chainsaw 4 with the robot legs. Jackie Earle Haley was in the movie for a combined total of about 10 minutes, so he was wasted. The kid who played Jake was likable, and Idris Elba was very good, but even he wasn't enough to save this. The action in this was abysmal. As would be expected, there was a big shootout towards the end. A scene like this in the hands of a director like John Woo would have been amazing, but here it was just flop city. No energy, poorly staged shots, and naturally too much editing. Seriously, the big end shootout should have been the cornerstone of the film, something that really gets you excited for the coming finale. Instead it was dull, and all it did was make me want to get to the end faster. The film was also aggressively PG-13. What I mean was that the gunslinger shot dozens of people, and not a single drop of blood. One character takes a bullet to the head, and nothing. Two people get set on fire off screen, and there's an impaling that happens in the dark. It's not that I'm needing gallons of blood in a film, but if you're going to have a movie where people are repeatedly getting shot, not seeing any kind of aftermath just took me right out. This is also in a Stephen King movie. In Maximum Overdrive, a kid gets run over by a steamroller. Apparently this movie was a melding of books 1 and 7 of the Dark Tower series. So they combined two books at each end of the series to make a 90-minute movie that felt like both a bore fest and a rushed mess. The interesting things happened too quickly, and the dull things were focused on for far longer than they needed to be. I'll be honest, it felt like a young adult novel adapted to film. The Dark Tower is a major disappointment. If you're a fan of the novels, there may be some nods to the books in there, but ultimately I think it's just going to piss you off more than anything. The good that came out of this was it makes me want to at least check out the first book just to see how far off the rails the film went. For as excited as everyone seemed about the movie when it was first announced, I think there's going to be a lot of people disappointed this weekend.